Hello, my name is Susan Barber. I'm from the Atlanta, Georgia area, and I read last year for question number 1, Juggler, the poetry prompt. And I just wanted to share with you some of the things that I noticed from the reading that yielded good essays, or some things that I noticed that hindered students from having good essays. So I have 7 quick things that I'm going to share with you. These are in no particular order. The first thing that I would encourage you to do is to just go with what you know on the poem. Everyone is going to enter the poem at a different place or connect with the poem at a different place. There are multiple entry points to poetry. So if you really connect with the poem, say 2/3 of the way through, you can start your writing there. If you don't understand the first part, don't stress out over that. Just go with what you know and start unpacking it there. You do not have to address every bit of the poem when you're analyzing it. The second thing I would encourage you to look for is the shift. Almost every poem is going to have a shift with it, a shift in it. And when you can identify the shift, it will really set you up to do some complex writing, because you can compare before and after the shift. So you want to be sure when you're reading your poem that you note what the shift is and think about how things are different before and after the shift, and be sure to use that in your analysis. The next thing that I would encourage you to do is to organize your essay by insight and not by poetic devices. For sure, the upper level essays that I read last year were organized by insight. When you organize your essay by insight or by ideas that you have about the meaning of the poem, this is going to make sure that you are writing about the thematic and big picture ideas in the poem. And sometimes students who just organize by device, they don't include those things in the poem, or they wait to the very end, and it should be woven all the way throughout your analysis and not just the insight, and not just saved to the end. The fourth thing is you want to write about what's literally happening in the poem and what's figuratively happening. So your literal and your metaphorical meanings. One thing that I encourage my students to do is to annotate on the left side of the poem, to write literally what's happening, and on the right side to put the figurative meaning. And the AP prompts are laid out perfectly with the poem in the center of the paper, so it's easy to do that. So be sure that you're discussing not only what the poem literally says, but what the figurative meaning is for that as well. The fifth thing that I noticed is that a lot of people referred to the persona of the poem as the poet. So it's a minor detail, but it really goes a long way. Make sure you understand the difference between the poet and his role, and his or her role in writing the poem, and the persona of the poem, and use those terms correctly. The next thing that I would share with you is, whenever you share a poetic device, whenever you identify a poetic device, be sure that you don't just tell what it is and don't just quote it from the poem, but you need to also tell why it's important, tell how it's being used, what is the function of this. That's where so many students fall short in writing their poetry essays. They identify the poetic device and they will quote it, but they do not tell why it's important or how the poet is using it. So be sure to do that. And finally, be sure that you're quoting from the poem. And poems are perfect because you can just pull out a word or two here or a phrase or two here, and all of your text evidence should just weave seamlessly in and out throughout your writing. So those are some things that I hope will help you in your writing. Good luck on your exam next week.